After escaping from an alien parasite-infested planet, the Sulaco spaceship drifts through space, while its crew is frozen in a state of hibernation. Unfortunately, an alien egg secretly hitched a ride on the ship and quickly hatched, causing an electrical fire. The alien latched onto a member of the crew. The automated system ejected all the cryotubes into an escape pod and launched it into space. The ship's navigation system directed the pod to the nearest planet, Furina 161, a male-only colony created for the most dangerous criminals, managed by the same company that operated the spaceship. The prisoners found the pod and discovered that Ripley was still alive, so they brought her to the medical bay. Dr. Clemens treated Ripley and injected her with a dose of pain relievers. However, he also delivered bad news. She was the sole survivor of the crash. The other two had died, and the android was irreparably damaged. Meanwhile, the prisoners use a crane to bring the destroyed ship into the building. Later, Warden Andrews informed the prisoners that there was a woman in the facility. Some of the men protested, arguing that it would cause trouble, but Andrews assured them that he had contacted the company and requested a rescue ship. Ripley was left under Clemens's care with strict orders not to leave the medical bay until the rescue ship arrived. When Ripley felt better, she requested to see the wrecked spaceship, and Clemens escorted her there, explaining how each person had died. The little girl had died in her sleep, but Ripley noticed a burn mark on the side of the cryotube, recalling that aliens had acidic blood. She began to grow suspicious and requested to see the girl's body. Next, they went to the autopsy room, and Ripley started examining the girl's body, wanting to ensure there was no alien inside. She requested an autopsy, citing the possibility of infection as the reason. Clemens, though skeptical, agreed to open the body, and Ripley finally sighed in relief when it was revealed that the girl had died from drowning, with no signs of alien life. At that moment, Andrews entered and scolded Ripley for leaving the medical bay, but she distracted him by insisting that the bodies be cremated to prevent possible infection. Shortly after, the bodies from the spaceship were burned. A prisoner named Dylan delivered a heartfelt eulogy. Meanwhile, in another room, Spike began convulsing and suddenly exploded as an alien burst from its body and fled into a hidden area of the facility. Later, Ripley took a shower and shaved her head, following the prison's regulations. She went to the cafeteria and tried to thank Dylan for his eulogy, but Dylan warned her not to befriend him because he had done terrible things to women in the past. Ignoring his warning, Ripley sat down and had lunch with him. Later, Ripley asked Clemens why he had become a doctor in the prison and whether he had committed a crime, noting that he also had a barcode on his skin like the other prisoners. Clemens dodged the question and instead asked Ripley about the real reason for the autopsy, trying to distract her. Ripley began flirting with Clemens, and eventually, the two spent the night together. Meanwhile, Murphy was working in an isolated tunnel when he noticed a shed exoskeleton. Suddenly, he heard a noise and assumed it was Spike, but on closer inspection, he was shocked to see the alien. The creature attacks by spraying acid in his face, causing Murphy to fall backward into a giant fan, which immediately crushes him. Shortly after, Clemens is called to investigate Murphy's body. Andrews assumed Murphy had lost focus and got too close to the intake fan, but Clemens concluded that the fan had been blowing in Murphy's direction. He also noticed a burn mark similar to the one Ripley had seen on the cryotube. Seeking answers, Clemens went looking for Ripley and found her searching through flight records in the wreckage of the spaceship. When Clemens told Ripley about Murphy's death, she began to suspect the presence of an alien nearby. Clemens asks Ripley to tell him everything, but before revealing the truth, Ripley insists on retrieving the android's remains. Clemens directs her to the scrapyard but cannot accompany her as he has to meet with Andrews. When Clemens meets Andrews, he is immediately scolded for letting Ripley go alone. Andrews also reveals that the company has contacted higher-ups about Ripley, who seems very important to them, though Andrews doesn't know why. An argument ensues about how to handle the situation, and Andrews warns Clemens to behave properly, threatening to reveal Clemens's dark past to Ripley. Meanwhile, Boggs, Rains, and Golick are surveying and measuring the tunnels and rooms in the facility by placing candles. However, some candles placed farther away keep getting blown out by the wind. Thinking it's just the wind, Rains goes to relight the candles but discovers the alien has fully matured. The creature immediately attacks, grabbing Rains and viciously tearing into him. Boggs and Golick hear his screams and rush to check on their friend. But as soon as they saw the alien, they immediately turned and ran towards the door. There, they find Rains' corpse. Suddenly, Boggs is attacked by the creature from above. It tears out his throat, spraying blood onto Golick. After a moment of standing still, Golick panicked and ran away. Back with Ripley, she finds the android's body in the junkyard. As she prepares to leave, she is confronted by 3 prisoners who quickly charge at her with ill intentions. Dylan appears, wielding a metal rod, and drives them off, threatening to educate them. Before leaving, Ripley lands a punch on the face of one of her attackers. Ripley then connects what remains of the android to the clinic's power source and restores him using the android's systems. She accesses the ship's flight logs and discovers that a fire caused the ship's ejection, and an alien had followed them off the planet. This information has been shared with the network, so the company is aware of it. Android is in pain and begging for mercy, but Ripley decides to permanently disconnect him. At the same time, Golik is dragged into the infirmary, claiming that he didn't kill anyone but a dragon did. Andrews and the others think he's crazy, but Dylan defends Golik, saying he has never lied. Ripley overhears everything and steps out to confirm the story. However, Andrews remains skeptical. Finally, they hold a meeting in his office, and Ripley shares everything she knows about the aliens. Unfortunately, Andrews reveals that aside from a few knives and fire axes, there are no weapons in the prison. He also locks Ripley in the infirmary until the rescue ship arrives, still doubting her story. Later, Ripley feels unwell in the infirmary, and Clemens gives her another injection. Golik hears this and says she will die soon as well. To distract her, Clemens finally admits that he was once a prisoner, convicted after becoming addicted to drugs and making a medical mistake that caused multiple deaths. When the prison was converted into a lead works facility and the population dwindled, he decided to stay with the inmates, knowing no one else would hire him as a doctor again. Suddenly, a shadow appears behind the curtain, and the alien reveals itself, killing Clemens in an instant. It then approaches Ripley and corners her against the wall. However, after examining her closely, the alien retreats and exits through the ceiling, taking Clemens's body with it. Ripley rushes to the mess hall, where Andrews is trying to organize a search party for Boggs and Rains. She tells them the alien is here, but Andrews doesn't believe her. As he tries to silence Ripley, he is grabbed by the alien from above, leaving blood dripping from the air vent. After a moment of panic, the prisoners gathered in the meeting area and argued over who would be the leader. Ripley interrupts them to share what she knows about the aliens, though this one seems slightly different. The lack of weapons and surveillance systems makes the plan more challenging. Morse, angry, blames Ripley for bringing the alien into the prison. Dylan cuts him off, and the group agrees to listen to Ripley. Ripley asks for a blueprint of the facility and notices a large system of tunnels, along with a toxic waste containment unit that can be fully sealed. She also discovers barrels of flammable materials behind a thick steel door. They decide to use this material to flush the alien out of the tunnels and trap it in the containment unit for permanent imprisonment. Soon after, the inmates begin preparations, spreading oil in the tunnels and searching for batteries for their flashlights to use as signals. They ban smoking because even a small spark could trigger an explosion. While working in the tunnels, they discover areas with holes burned through by the alien's acid. One inmate is holding a ladder and accidentally drops a flare, but he manages to catch it before it causes any accidents. Unfortunately, this distraction gives the alien the opportunity to launch a surprise attack. The flare falls and ignites the fuel, causing a huge explosion. The fire erupts, killing several inmates. Some try to escape, but the flames spread and burn them alive. Ripley and Dylan help as many as they can, and eventually, someone manages to activate the sprinkler system. Although the fire is extinguished, the group of survivors is now much smaller. Afterward, the survivors move through the tunnels to collect the bodies of the dead, while the inmates argue about what to do next. Ripley begins to feel unwell, so she returns to the spacecraft wreckage to use the bioscanner. Aaron helps her operate the device, and after a quick scan, they are shocked to discover that Ripley is pregnant with the alien's child. This explains why the alien didn't attack her, thinking it was protecting its offspring. Ripley then asks Aaron to send a message to the company, informing them that the entire facility has been contaminated and they should stay away. Aaron is confused, as the rescue ship is their only hope, but Ripley explains that the company will bring the alien back to Earth to create weapons. When Aaron refuses to send the message, Ripley angrily shakes him, but can't change his mind, so she decides to leave and search for the alien. At that moment, Aaron receives a message from the rescue ship, stating they will arrive in 2 hours and their top priority is to keep Ripley in quarantine. With a flashlight in hand, Ripley searches for the alien through dark areas, following strange sounds. When she finally sees the creature, she attacks it with a stick, only to realize she mistook an old metal pipe for the alien's head, and the noise was actually coming from the insects inside. Suddenly, the alien appears right behind Ripley. Only moments later, Dylan is startled by a presence, but it turns out to be Ripley. She explains that she was searching for the alien and wasn't attacked because she's carrying its child. Ripley realizes that the shape she saw in the scanner was a queen alien, meaning her alien child could give birth to thousands of others. She asks Dylan to end it for her, as she won't survive the birth. However, at the last moment, Dylan changes his mind and points out that Ripley's immunity could be used to their advantage. Ripley agrees to fight but asks Dylan to promise that he will end it after they defeat the alien. Dylan then gathers the inmates, and Ripley explains that the company considers her entire former crew, even the Marines, expendable, so the chances of them letting the inmates survive are virtually zero. Everyone agrees to fight and comes up with a plan. Some people will act as bait to lure the alien to areas of the factory, sealing off all entrances until the alien is forced into a mold. While everyone prepares the doors and switches, Aaron quietly slips away. Dylan explains to Ripley that the structure is old and hasn't been used in 5 years, so some parts may not function. This means they only have one chance to get the plan right. Morse tries to close the final door but fails, and shortly after, the alien attacks an inmate and kills him. Another inmate witnesses this and draws the monster's attention, triggering a chase. As they run through the corridors, the remaining ones close doors to force the alien onto the correct path. However, the maze-like design of the area confuses them, and they're no longer sure which doors to close. Additionally, the alien has smashed one of their windows. After losing sight of the monster, a prisoner decides to go looking for it and attracts its attention with a torch. The chase begins again, and despite their efforts to close doors, 2 more are killed. One person panics and almost activates the piston too early, but Ripley stops them just in time. Outside, the company workers' ship finally lands, and Aaron goes to greet them, informing them that Ripley is in the furnace area. The workers bring a large steel cage and head inside. Dylan enters the tunnels and discovers the alien has killed another inmate. He drags the body away from the creature and places it near the mold as bait. The alien approaches, and one inmate activates the piston. However, the alien realizes it's a trap and pulls the body back into the tunnel without entering the mold. Now, they only have 5 minutes to lure the alien into the mold again before the piston closes. The workers scatter through the corridors in different directions to search for the alien, while Ripley continues to find the bodies of the inmates. One inmate runs as fast as he can, but the alien grabs him and kills him before he can reach the mold. In another corridor, Morse bumps into an inmate, and they both fall, laughing, thinking it's just a fake panic. However, the alien takes advantage of this moment to kill the other inmate. Morse pulls back from the creature and Ripley appears with a torch, beginning to struggle with the alien, trying to force it to attack her. At that moment, Dylan arrives and pulls Ripley away as she screams, causing the alien to chase them to protect its offspring. This ultimately leads the creature into the mold. Morse quickly closes the door to trap it. As Morse runs to the lead platform, Ripley tries to stay in the mold, but Dylan pulls her out and promises to kill her later. The pair begins to climb, only to realize the alien is chasing them. Dylan decides to stay in the mold to hold the alien back, as the creature attacks him. Ripley climbs out and tells Morse to pour hot lead into the mold, completely covering both the alien and Dylan. They think it's over, and Morse celebrates. However, the alien emerges from the mold and begins chasing Ripley. She starts climbing a series of chains, but the alien quickly follows. At that moment, Morse shouts to remind Ripley about the sprinkler system, and she jumps down to activate it. Water pours down on the alien, and the sudden cooling causes cracks to form on its body until it finally explodes. Ripley joins Morse on the platform, but is suddenly surrounded by Aaron and the company staff. She is shocked to realize the person in front of her is the same android from her old crew. However, this person is actually human, the designer who created the android with his own face. He swears to destroy the fetus after extracting it from Ripley's body, but she doesn't believe him and shuts the mesh door between the platform and the group. Morse tries to move, but one of the guards immediately shoots him in the leg. Seeing Ripley was right, Aaron uses a stick to strike the designer's back, causing the guard to shoot him, killing him. Meanwhile, Ripley asks Morse to help her one last time and he moves the platform towards the boiling furnace. Determined to end everything, Ripley falls off the platform. She jumped into the flames of the boiling furnace. Finally, the scientists bandage Morse and take him through the wreckage of the ship. Ripley's recording from the first adventure plays, saying that she was the last survivor. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch videos like this. You can search for the movie Alien 3 to watch the full episode. Thank you for watching.